here in the United States of America, proud American. So you get executed, wrongly executed, and the murderer escapes execution and dies peacefully, and in some cases goes completely free. It's messed up in America, and that's what we're going to talk about today. As you can see, the sun coming up this morning and the moon out at the same time. So we're going to talk about what nobody else talks about, reality, not what they tell you in the news media. We're going to give you a little reality about murderers going free, escaping execution. And there's the moon, if you can see it off in the distance, and the sun up at the same time. Imagine that. It is a wonderful, beautiful creation. So, great show for you today. Great show. We're going to tell you what nobody else says, the way the system really is. And if it's just one time, that's way too many, especially if it's you or one of your family members. But I think it's more than one time that murderers die peacefully, that have been given the death warrant, the death sentence, and they die peacefully. And sometimes they wiggle their way out of prison because of a lot of different reasons. And we're going to talk about that today, where murderers, they literally have created some heinous acts and have been convicted by a jury and given the death sentence, and they wiggle and weasel their way out of it. It happens. And then also what happens is we have completely innocent people that get convicted of stuff they didn't do. Now that's unheard of for somebody to speak out saying what they tell you is not the truth, because it's the exact opposite of what they say. So hear me out. We're going to talk about the evidence contrary to what they're telling you. They tell you that they convict, the government convicts guilty people with a jury, with due process, with the law, gives them the death sentence, they get a death warrant, and they get executed on death row appropriately. And that's the way the system works, and that's the way it's supposed to work, and that's the way it works. I'm going to tell you, based on evidence, let's just look at the facts, that that's not what happens in a lot of cases across the board. Now, even if it happens in one case, that a person who commits a brutal murder, let's not forget about why they're on death row in the first place. It's because they committed a brutal, heinous, pathetic, sick murder and victimized the person, sometimes brutally tortured him and raped him for a period of time, sometimes for days before people are killed, as in the murders here in Knoxville with the UT students. Horrific, dastardly deeds. Has to be partly, in my view, demonically influenced for people to do that kind of evil, wicked stuff, or maybe based on hate of certain races and stuff. And it happens on both sides. All races commit murders, and they get tried and convicted and get a death warrant and wiggle their way out of it. Or don't even get charged with a death penalty in the first place, when they should get a death warrant and get out of it. And some of them who have done heinous murders where they should be convicted, and some of them have been convicted and given a death warrant and are now free among us to do it again. Now, they tell you that doesn't happen, but it does. We're gonna show you the facts. The other day I talked about innocent people getting on death row, how easy it is for them to put you on death row and give you a death warrant when you didn't do a damn thing. And that's the truth. I presented evidence. Watch the other video. This today is a profound analyzation of the facts of how the system is rigged in the favor of brutal, heinous, sick murderers, where they can even get a death sentence and be scheduled for execution and wiggle their way out of it and die peacefully without having the death sentence, and or be freed on the streets to murder again. And that happens at an alarming rate. So the system's messed up. It doesn't work the way you think it does. And your likelihood of being on death row is relatively high, given the fact that you're not a murderer, given the fact that you would never do that you would protect somebody. What I'm telling you is very alarming, very unheard of facts, thinking the correct way that it is, despite what people in the government power pumped out by their mass media, by their false propaganda tells you every day. It's the other way in what they tell you, speaking from a life lived inside the system. I know how it doesn't work for you, and they don't care. It works for them because they'll never get on death row, no matter what they do at times. And you stand a substantially high likelihood, given the fact that you're innocent, of being on death row and being executed, the punishment being dealt out. And the person that brutally murders somebody, you may in fact even be charged with their crime, and they walk free because of the crooked, dirty, nasty system, and people trust it. And once it gets rolling, it's like a snowball headed downhill. It picks up steam, gathers more false evidence, and it will crush you. And it has nothing to do, to a large extent, with truth. And it impacts death sentences and death warrants. And we're going to go in depth into some facts, into some real life cases. And if what they're saying happens, then why didn't it happen in these cases? And I'm telling you across the board, it's far more likely than what you think. The system for us is broke all to hell. You should be very afraid to let it continue going, and we need to vote. Pretty much frankly, the O-rings are broken. You know, in 1976, we had the explosion of the NASA spaceship that was headed to outer space with 7 astronauts on it, including a school teacher. Broadcast on TV all over the world, people watching America go to space again. And broadcast in our high schools for high school students to see. What they didn't anticipate was what was known behind the scenes, and the horrific explosion for people to view with their naked eye of a spaceship blowing all to hell, all 7 astronauts disintegrated in a matter of seconds from a spaceship that NASA built, that evidently, according to now known facts, they knew that the O-rings were broken, that winter affected it, that they shouldn't take off, that they shouldn't keep the ball rolling. But in order for the system to keep going, because of news media pressure and because they had made statements that they didn't want to back up on, they internally agreed to blast that spaceship off, knowing that there was a too risky likelihood for it to blow up, but thinking the system was so right, the system was so perfect, that that wouldn't happen, and it did. And it did. Well, I'm telling you today, in America, in the state of Tennessee, I'll show you the facts. The O-rings are broken. This is serious bad, and don't wake up when you're on death row and you're hooked to a gurney, strapped down with your arms and your feet, and you didn't do it, and you give your last words and you say you didn't do it, and no damn body cares because the O-rings were broken and they're gonna do it anyway. And that's exactly what they'll do. Your only hope is that they are so inept as they are getting a wrongful person prosecuted as wicked, that they're so inept they won't get it done. They won't be able to. And you live to fight it another day. I'm talking about the death penalty in the state of Tennessee, all across America. It is horrifically broken. Innocent people get executed. Innocent people get executed. You are likely, to a certain probability, and the fact that you're innocent is irrelevant to their system. They know the O-rings are broken. They don't give a damn. And a guilty person, we're going to talk about evidence and facts, and a guilty person that did the brutal murder, can wiggle their way out of it. And you might not be able to because of a few important things. One at the top is because you trust the system. You trust the government, trust the system. Believe that if you fight fair, you'll get fair returns. That if you're honest and play by their rules, that everything will work out okay because you trust the damn system. And these murderers, they don't trust the system. They're wicked as hell. They wiggle their way out of justified death warrant convictions and never get executed. They die peacefully. They die peacefully in hospitals, or they wiggle their way out of the crime so much that they don't even get convicted of the crime in the first place. Or after conviction, they spend years and years in jail. So there's a Knoxville police officer. They spend years and years in jail and get out of the heinous crime of a murder while you're sitting on death row waiting on execution. And it's gonna happen to you because you trust the system. They know the O-rings are broken, they don't care. And it's gonna come to a head because no system can continue to maintain itself with the level of corruption at the highest levels in Tennessee government that it is right now. Now, I'm not saying to do anything illegal or wrong, break any law. I'm saying peacefully vote these people out of office. That'll hook you on a chair knowing that you didn't do it. And they don't care, their conscience is seared. I'm saying to peacefully follow the law and vote, and don't trust the system. It's not against the law not to trust the people in question, the people that are dishing this stuff out. It's not against the law. It's American. It's what this country was founded on. A distrust and dislike of government institutions that go rogue, a questioning of them, looking at the facts and seeing if they're doing what they say they're doing. And I'll tell you right up front, I've been inside the government. I can tell you, I've seen it with my own eyes, not guessing or reading research papers. I can tell you, it's a rogue, dirty system. It's wrong. It doesn't work the way it's supposed to. They just put out information that it is. And we'll look at the facts and show you that it is not. It's working exactly the opposite. So, real murderers that commit brutal crimes wiggle their way out of executions. I'll show you documented cases all across the United States. Here in the state of Tennessee, while the victims suffered, the family members of these victims suffer. They're waiting years and years and years for an execution. It doesn't never happen. Why is that? The O-rings are broken. They should get justice. And you or me quite possibly, given the fact that we are innocent, we wouldn't murder anybody. We would stop it if we seen it going on. We are for peace and prosperity. And some of us, like me, are followers of Jesus Christ. It's against the 10 Commandments to murder. And we wouldn't commit a murder, but we could be wrongfully accused and convicted and have a death warrant. Completely innocent. You won't hear this stuff anywhere else. Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News. Like, share, contribute, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Help me get this message out. It is a truthful counter argument to the government's false propaganda that there's nothing wrong with the system. It works just fine. That they execute guilty people in a timely manner, give victims justice, and that people that do the crime don't get convicted and executed and get a death warrant. And I'm here to tell you, as unpopular and unheard of as it is, from an educated perspective, Doctor of Jurisprudence, Master of Arts in Criminology, Bachelor of Science in Business, Human Resource Management, even an associate degree in business, and inside the system, I've been inside the system. I've seen how they work. I know, and I've seen how dirty they are up close and personal. They lie under oath, do all kinds of atrocities, rig judges. They convict at times, and even if it's just one, which I believe it's much deeper than that, innocent people, people like me and you, and get a death warrant, and I believe at times enacting a wrongful execution in the state of Tennessee, in the United States of America. And that's the way the system does. And while you may not see it as brightly, the whole world may not, as the space shuttle blowing up, where the world's seen that NASA needs to correct this, I'm blowing it up and telling you that America needs to correct the corrupt, crooked death sentence dealt out and completed to innocent people, and start executing guilty people and quit letting them wiggle out of it, because it takes so long to do it. Years and years of them planning and strategizing and wiggling their way out of a justified execution, dying peacefully, and sometimes walking the street available to do it again. Now that sounds backwards. It's not. It's the way it is. What they're telling you, what they're preaching to you, in their mass media, their mass ability to get public attention is a lie. They're covering up, trying to cover up the space shuttle that you see clearly. And you'll see it even clearly when you're on the deathbed, or your family member is, for stuff they didn't do. So I'm trying to warn you ahead of time. Please listen the way it is, from a life-lived, educated perspective, educated point of view. And even if you don't agree with me, you're going to have to agree with the few cases that I'm telling you about, because they literally happen. I can tell you the facts. They don't want to talk about the facts. I'm going to bring them out and light them up and tell you what these crooks are doing to you. And we need to vote and obey the law. It's not illegal to be disruptive for a legitimate cause. It's not illegal to be loud and clear. And we need to cause disruption where it's legally allowed to do. And, you know, I'll be your front man. I do it well. They criminalize personalities. If you're loud personality and you're charismatic, they criminalize that. They criminalize personalities in the state of Tennessee. They criminalize my personality. They don't like it because I'm loud and boisterous in appropriate situations, in public settings where it's not disruptive of any legal or any proceeding. But they criminalize me because I'm speaking the truth against them. It has nothing to do with me doing anything illegal. They criminalize dissent. I know they do. I have been the subject of it And you see how well it's working? You see how well it's working? Well, yeah. A lot of people don't like me. Wait till I drive by to pull out, try to be disruptive, but they don't understand that they ain't got the fortitude and they ain't got the endurance to wait me out, because this is a real fight to protect all Tennesseans, and they're just snub-nosed, stuck-up, pathetic idiots that are dangerous to themselves and others. So if you're trying to stop me by your comments or whatever, you're not going to get it done. I'll stop when God tells me to stop. And as far as I've been listening and scripturally based, he's telling me to do what he called me to do, which is exactly what I'm doing. And it's not nice, because it's the truth. If they want me to be nice about the facts, they need to do things that are nice and do things that are legal. If they want me to tell the truth and it reflects good on them, then you don't get legitimacy by doing evil and threatening people and intimidating them. Some people you don't, I'm one of them. So if they want to be legitimate and convict guilty murderers in a reasonable amount of time and execute them, then I will say that. If they want to be legitimate and claim that they don't execute innocent people like you and me, then don't do that, and I'll say that. Otherwise, being nice has nothing to do with it. It's called being truthful. You don't gain legitimacy by people lying about you. You gain legitimacy by being legitimate. So this is not anti-government, this is pro-government against the people that are running it right now that have got in it wrongfully and can care less if you live or die and get executed. They just want somebody charged. They just want to send the message how powerful the state is, and they can't even get that job done. What part of that do you not think that they can get a truthful conviction through? That they do the system right when they can't get it right on the back end. They can't even execute people. It took them over an hour and they couldn't get it done. And what makes you think that the process was right either? So either way, they are wrong, bad wrong, and it's not that hard. It's not that hard to do. So here in Knoxville, we had the violent, brutal murders of some University of Tennessee students, a man and his girlfriend, and they were taken, abducted out of their cars and taken to a house off of Cherry Street. Hello. And they were brutally raped, both of them. And one of them died being suffocated, brutally raped multiple times, and put in a plastic bags in the garbage can like they were trash. Brutal murders that were most likely hate-based, hate bias involved. Should have been charged with a hate crime. I don't think that they were. It wasn't politically correct to do that at the time because the pendulum was for the other way. These people are being mistreated. So even though they're doing worse than their mistreatment, we're not going to pin a hate crime on them, and it should have been done. But if you haven't noticed, I go against politics and I just tell you the truth about how things really are, and don't bear false witness. So hit the subscribe channel. You won't hear this stuff from anywhere else. So Lamarcus Davidson was testifying at his trial. And a lot of people don't know this, but a lawyer is an officer of the court. They're your lawyer. They have a high degree of fiduciary duty to you. It means they have to represent you to the fullest extent of the law within the realm of obeying the court, which is literally a higher duty, because if they don't fully represent you the way they should, then they still keep their law license, and you have to appeal or get another lawyer, point out how they did wrong. They don't lose their job for messing up with you. They keep their job. But there is a rule of professional conduct involving attorneys. They're officers of the court. And the rule is, I think it's 3.1. I've got it written down. They have to have candor towards the tribunal. They're officers of the court. Just like a police officer in another way is an officer of the court. They bring in bad guys, supposedly might bring in you when you didn't do anything bad. And a lawyer is also an officer of the court in another way. They cannot bring a fraud or deception on the court in defending their client in their opinion. So they may think that you're bringing a fraud on the court because of the state's false evidence. And even if they don't think so and the state thinks they are, then they cannot help you defend yourself. Yeah, you heard that right. They can't help you defend yourself because they're an officer of the court, and they can't bring what's construed as a fraud on the court by not necessarily them, by the court. So if they fully try to defend you like they should, and the court that we so trust so very much, unjustifiably, I'm gonna put in there, and the court thinks that you did it, they know you did it, they believe that, and they even believe it, then your lawyer can't defend you, even if he thinks you didn't, because the court is going to find that he violated the duty of candor in the court's opinion and going to take his law license away from him or suspend him for defending you, even though you're innocent, because the court doesn't believe you are. So you violated their rules. So they have the whole stack of cards. They got everything in their favor. Your lawyer is a double agent. Now, I didn't make that up. I'm not making this stuff up out of my own head. I read books on sociology, have an advanced degree in it from their universities, and I have seen it in real time, in real live action for years and years and years, 18 years in Tennessee courtrooms doing my job as a police officer. But let me tell you something, I told the truth. If my answer tend to go against the state's wanting to convict someone, I told the truth under oath. I did not lie. If I were asked a question, I told the truth. Now, that's not the way a lot of officers do it. And that a lot of times that's how they get promoted, from lying. The system doesn't work for you. It's set up that way. If you think it will, that's what helps them. Because while you're going along with the program, agreeing to everything they tell you, agreeing to a plea bargain of a crime you didn't commit because your double agent attorney is telling you to do that, then you're going to get convicted, maybe on death row, because of your trust of the system. So I'm telling you, at the top of my lungs, no matter who calls me a babbling idiot or a lunatic, I guarantee you I know a hell of a lot more than you do. And they haven't been able to knock me down, although they have sure tried. And I know what I'm talking about. The system is designed to execute whoever the hell they want to, innocent or guilty. And these mass murders that have their conscience seared, that are wicked and dirty as hell, they don't trust the system and they don't go along. And a lot of times, they get out of the crime, wiggle out of it, deny justice to the person they murdered, deny justice to their family that's waiting for them to be executed. And the state does that, allows that to take place. It doesn't matter, it's nothing personal to them. They didn't care one of their family members. They didn't kill one of their family members, they don't care. If it were one of their family members, they got a hand inside the system, they'd make sure it got done. You see executions take place within a matter of a few years. Look up who they murdered. It's somebody that had some power in the court system. They murder me or you or one of your family members, they may never get executed because you're not important. And even if they're convicted, they may get set free on a technicality and be roaming the streets to kill one of us again. They got protection. They got big high gates. They got security. They got your money to buy all this protection against the dangerous world. So you tell me, who's the most dangerous? The people that run the court system, that rig it up for themselves, or the mass murderer that kills 2 or 3 people and gets out of it because of their backwards, nasty, dirty court system? And if I were you, I would subscribe. You need to hear this. It's another way of thinking. It's a truthful way of analyzing facts and refuting what you're told. Challenge your thinking. Challenge what you're told. That's what getting an education is. You can educate yourself. Challenge what you think. Challenge what you're told. In this day and age, you're getting piped out YouTube channels and other means of media that are telling you some of the truth. Euro and Travel, excellent show. Watch some of that stuff and listen to and challenge if you disagree. Challenge your thinking. Now you get the bots on there that tell you to go along with the program. And I wouldn't do that. Think through things. Challenge your ideals, challenge your thinking, challenge what these people in power, and that's the key, they're in power. Challenge your trust of them. As long as you trust them, they're going to be able to execute innocent people and release guilty people and deny justice. It's backwards because you trust them. These murderers don't trust them. They don't trust anybody. They're just fighting to survive. So that's part of the problem. You trust in the system. So don't trust the system. Question what they do. Question everything they say. Question every agreement if you're ever charged. Question everything your double agent attorney tells you to do because he's an officer for them. He's wanting to negotiate your plea of guilty. So he's there to get you to get that case to the court system as quickly and painlessly as possible for them, not you. He's not worried about, a lot of times, he's not worried about whether you're guilty or innocent. He's worried about the court and his job and his paycheck, the powerful court being able to take his law license. If he does you wrong, even though on the books, he's got the highest degree of fiducial duty in the legal system, an attorney-client, he's a double agent. That comes right out of a sociology book. Criminal offense attorney, a double agent. He works for the government, an officer of the court. He can't fraudulently mislead the tribunal in their opinion, even if it's not his. If they think that his defense of you is fraudulent, even if it's not, and he don't think that, it's not even in his hands, he can't defend you. He can't, he's not allowed to. And I'll show you a specific example of how it plays out in real time and show you exactly how they do what they do. So you know, hey, this lawyer thinks his client is guilty as hell, or he thinks that the court thinks he's guilty as hell. So he's going along with the program. I'll show you how they do it specifically. Remember, I got a Doctor of Jurisprudence, a JD. I'll show you how it works out in real time, how the whole world is a stage and we're just actors in it, how they do this heinous wickedness. If you think you got an attorney that's on your side that will defend you, a lot of cases, I'm not saying all the time, a lot of cases, you don't. You absolutely don't. He's on their side. He's a double agent. He'll just make you think that he is. And I'll tell you at least one telltale sign, and there's many others, that your attorney's not on your side. You're going to get a death warrant with your criminal defense attorney in a lot of cases. Now, not all of them, but the system needs to be changed where lawyers can aggressively defend people. Now, it says they can aggressively defend people on the books. It says they can fight your capital punishment case against you and bring in witnesses, and if you can't afford it, it says that. The state will pay for a certain amount of criminal defense, so you feel pretty good in America that they execute people by the truckloads. And that's on the books, that's fine, that's black and white ink. It means in a lot of cases, and if it's your case, it means everything. It means nothing. It don't mean anything. It's black and white. It's worthless words on a paper. The truth is that the facts, maybe not words on a paper, the backroom deals. That's what matters. And the fact that he's an officer of the court, and the rule 3.1 is what matters, that he can't bring false information, commit a fraud on the court. And that's in the court's opinion, and that's what matters. Not whether you're innocent or guilty. Because if you're innocent and he doesn't defend you because the court thinks you're guilty, and he doesn't defend you, you get convicted. So he's lost the case. Big whoop, lost the case. The criminal defense attorneys that are state appointed lose a lot of cases. That's what they're there for. They've learned to stomach it and to take the bad medicine. And every now and then they give them a bone, which probably is not your case. You probably get the death penalty and executed. Now, this is unheard of stuff. I'm just telling you the truth the way it is. And it is intentionally built this way. They do this on purpose. They don't care. You should care. And I care. That's why I'm popping this truth out. That's why they try to shut me down. And they will. And that's all right. Remember the brand name, Charles Van Morgan. If they shut me down on YouTube, or I'll pop up on another channel, I'll get the message out of the truth. Now, I'm not saying to break any laws. That's what they hate about me. I'm not saying to do anything illegal or violent. They're violent. Execution of an innocent person is a violent act by all of us. I'm talking against what they're doing violent to us, handling it peacefully by voting. There's more of us than them. And if people see the space shuttle blow up across the sky because the O-rings were bad and they knew it, if you get executed wrongly, I'm going to point out they know it. Try to spread this message across the sky so everybody will know what they're doing to you. And they are. On a daily basis, God sent Van to tell you, got some scars to know. And I'm not saying do anything violent. I'm asking you to not trust the system. I'm not asking you to hurt anybody, nonviolent. Not trust the system. And go vote. And fight these people legitimately by not making agreements with them. So yeah, we got a few people. Like, share, and comment, and subscribe. Welcome, welcome. So I'm telling you, don't trust the damn system. Question it, regardless of what they say. I know what I know. I've seen what I've seen. I've read what I've read, and I've lived life. And I'm here to tell you that they're bearing false witness, and I'm just telling you the truth. The system will execute innocent people, and guilty defendants that have a death warrant wiggle out of it over the process of time for a lot of different reasons and walk free to be able to kill people. And your defense attorney is supposed to defend you that you trust, that you shouldn't. I don't mean don't get an attorney. Sure, you need to do that. But don't listen and take everything as he's telling you as fact. Question him about things. Tell him you disagree with certain things that you disagree with. Ask him why he's doing certain things. Challenge him. If he's going to hang you out, make it hard for him to do that, and you're better off with an attorney than you are without in most cases. And if you literally cannot get an attorney to defend you, they want you to plead guilty and they ask to get off the case. And they can do that, even if you're innocent. They won't defend you because the court won't let them. So they have to, by the rules, they have to ask to get off the case. Let them go. They're not going to defend you. There was literally a case in Tennessee where two brothers, according to the courts, killed two police officers in Roane County Sheriff's Department. They killed two deputy sheriffs. They claimed it was self-defense. They couldn't get an attorney to go along with the program that was self-defense. So one of them defended himself, and they successfully defended themselves. So that sometimes is a misnomer that it's a fool that hires himself as his own attorney. That's a misnomer. I know of at least one case in Roane County where two murder suspects accused of murdering two deputy sheriffs. Imagine how hard they're going to come after you in a situation like that, even if it's self-defense, and successfully defended themselves without an attorney. So it does happen. A lot of things you're taught. Never, never do this. You know what I say? There's never a never. Never. There's always exceptions to almost everything. But they tell you never do this. Consider what they're telling you never to do. It might be the right thing to do. That's why they're telling you never do it, because that's a weak spot that you might win. So I think his name is Demarcus Davison, was being defended by a Knoxville attorney, and he's under the rules of 3.1 that you can't help a defendant commit a fraud on the court. So here's the way they do it. One example: if they're going to exercise their right, and it's their choice to testify, and in most cases it is better if you don't testify. And that is the truth, but not in every case. Never, never is not true. Sometimes it might be best for you to testify, but it's your choice. It's not the attorney's choice whether or not you testify in defense of your own self. Most of the time, it's better not to testify, but never say never. And a lot of times, if the facts are clear, you know it, and maybe your attorney's not going to defend you because you see how rigged it is, then it might be all right to testify. If you got a good grasp on the facts and you can talk and look at the jury and tell them the truth and get them to realize the truth, then maybe you should testify instead of leaving it in the hands of a double agent. So for the most part, you probably shouldn't testify. But sometimes maybe you should. So Mr. Davison was accused of assisting in the murder of those two UT college students, and he elected to testify. And I'm telling you how it plays out in real time. When your attorney is not really your attorney, he's the double agent working for the government, and how it sticks its ugly head up in practice in a courtroom. And you can go back and review that video if you want to, of a disgusting murderer explaining away his crime under oath, lying, I believe, while he's testifying to try to protect his life. And he wanted to testify, and his lawyer couldn't tell him not to. But his lawyer didn't believe what he was going to tell the court was the truth. So his lawyer can't help him commit a fraud on the court. Because if he does, his law license might be taken away, his livelihood. If he helps his defendant, then the worst thing happens, the defendant gets convicted, even if he's innocent, and the lawyer still keeps his job. So the state has the way upper hand in that. You lose a case, somebody gets a death sentence. It's not you or your family, You go against the court, they pull your law license, you have to wash dishes at your local pub. And a lawyer ain't gonna do that. They're too proud and haughty and they think they're smarter than every damn body else. And they are in the law, in politics, and in the law, and in lying, a lot of them. But they're not gonna wash dishes. They're gonna keep their damn job and think they're being honorable by upholding the crooked, nasty, corrupt court system and bowing down, kowtowing to dirty judges and throwing in the towel for you and letting you get stuck with a needle, with drugs that will kill you and letting you die rather than get out of the dirty legal system or make any means to try to change it and let you go. That's what they do. And we're getting to our signature location. We're going to show you facts and evidence about cases in real life. So Mr. Davison elected to testify in his favor, trying to lie out of a heinous crime. Very sick, pathetic man. And he did. He testified under oath and lied. But when he got on the witness stand, and you can look at it, his attorney said that, Mr. Davison, you've elected to testify. And Mr. Davison said, yes, he's on the witness stand accused of these heinous crimes of these two college students, that he raped one of them. I mean, they had the evidence. They had DNA evidence that he raped the woman. I'm not going to spell it out specifically, but they had proof positive DNA evidence that he raped the woman before she was brutally murdered. He took part in that. He should be on death row, and he should have been executed years ago. But he's not. He's not on death row. Although there's DNA evidence where he raped the victim of a brutal murder, but the state couldn't get it done. But he elects to testify. And you can see it playing out in real time. And his defense attorney knows he's going to lie. So he can't help him lie. Can't help him defraud the court. So what he does is, he says, Mr. Davison, you elect to testify. And it's your right. They can't stop you from testifying. And he says, yes, I am. And then he says, well, okay, go ahead and tell your story, his defense attorney. That's a double agent working for the court system, not Mr. Davison. And he says, okay, go ahead and tell your story. And that's the way they'll do you. If you're completely innocent of the crime they're charging you of, and you elect to testify, your attorney will get up and tell you, here's how you'll know. If he thinks you're guilty, or if he thinks the court's going to sanction him for defending you, that you're innocent, but he don't want his law license taken away, because he's not going to defend an innocent person, because the court wants you convicted, and they're going to accuse him of committing a fraud on the court. Your attorney can be charged with committing a fraud on the court for defending you. That's the way it is. I'm telling you the rules. I have a law degree, been there, done that, seen it. I'm telling you, example played out by a guilty person, but this is how they'll do you. This is how, you know, everybody in that damn courtroom's wanting to execute you if you're on trial for murder, and the death penalty is open on the list. And if it's you or me, the mass populace of Tennesseans, if they can throw the death penalty on top, they do it as a bargaining chip to get you to plead guilty to some crime because they're holding death over your head. They'll damn sure do it. So it is very likely, in the scheme of things, for you to be completely stone cold innocent, never done a damn thing wrong, not even been to the state of Tennessee and them charge you in Tennessee. I mean, not ever been here and them accuse you of brutal murder in this state. Impossible for you to do with 30 witnesses saying you weren't even here. So you're on trial for a capital offense, and say this Knox County crooked courtroom right here. You're on trial for a capital offense as you enjoy the beautiful view. And I'm just telling you how to avoid this stuff. How to detect if your attorney is hanging you out by a specific example of a guilty person and how they'll do you, even though you're not guilty, how you'll know. And this is what they do. Is it very beautiful out and cool today? This is how they do it. Hello. So Davison was on the stand. He takes his right to testify against his attorney's objections, I'm sure. And his attorney says, "You've elected to testify," and he answers yes. And that's the only question he asked him, because the attorney's not allowed to commit a fraud on the court in the eyes of the court. And he says, "Okay, go ahead and tell your story." His attorney says that. And then his attorney sits down because he's guilty and he knows Davison's gonna lie while he's testifying, so his attorney can't help him lie. So he just gets him on the stand, they swear him in, he tells him, "You're gonna tell your story," and then the attorney sits down, and then Davis just talks and says whatever he wants to, and his attorney doesn't help him because he can't, because his attorney thinks he's guilty, and he was, and the court thinks he's guilty. So the attorney can't cross-examine him. Now, if he thinks that he is innocent and the court thinks he's innocent, then he can cross-examine the defendant that's on capital murder trial and ask him questions about the crime to try to get him exonerated. He can help him testify. If the court thinks he's innocent, it really doesn't matter what the attorney thinks. It matters what the court thinks. If the court wants him convicted, then the attorney can't help him. So he's like a spy talking to you every day, double agent. So if he thinks you're innocent and the court allows, and the court thinks you're innocent, or they want you to get off, say you're completely guilty, but you're one of the hierarchy rich people that never get on death row, I mean, that's a fact, then he'll let the defense attorney defend you and keep asking you questions to try to portray to the jury that you're guilty, that you're not guilty. Whereas if the court thinks you're guilty or wants to get you convicted, your attorney has to go along with the court. And this is how you know that they're trying to hang you out. They'll get up if you want to testify and say, "Okay, you want to testify. You've elected to testify." You'll say yes. And then they'll say, "Okay, go ahead and tell your story," and then they'll sit down. That's how you know that they're trying to hang you out, that your lawyer either thinks you're lying or thinks the court thinks you're lying, and he don't want to get his law license taken, and he won't help you, he won't question you. So if he thinks you're innocent and the court agrees, or the court's going to allow it, he can question you back and forth. Where were you at on that day? So you weren't there that day. Is that what you're telling us? And he can clarify things that a defendant by himself, two heads are better than one, won't be able to clarify in front of the jury. But like in the Davison case, and you watch the video, you'll see very clearly how it plays out in court when the court thinks you're guilty or wants you to be convicted. The attorney lets you get on the stand and says, "Tell your story," and sits the hell down. Because if he helps you defend yourself and ask you questions, tries to bring out to light the things that detract from their guilty conviction, he will get his job taken away, get sanctioned by the bar. So he will not question you. He will sit down. So you know if you're being hung out, regardless of what your lawyer says, he'll just let you testify and he'll be sitting down. He's not going to help you bring to light things that are important to defend yourself. Even if you're on a capital murder case where you're being tried and capital punishment is on the table, when your attorney sits down and says, "Okay, go ahead and tell your story," he's hanging you out and the court's hanging you out. Now, if you're guilty, I hope you pay. But if you're innocent, that's how you know. And look at the Lamarcus Davison tape and you'll hear exactly what I'm telling you played out in real time. And look at an innocent defendant, or one that the court allows the attorney to defend him, And you'll hear them cross-examine somebody that's testifying for themselves. That's how you know it's crooked as hell. It is a system set up, and that's what they do. So like, share, and comment. No demand, no supply. Okay. And thank you, Pretty Tins, PRETTITINGZ, for your help in moderating the show. I appreciate it. So the system is rigged by attorneys in the state's favor, and I'm straightening out my shirt here. My brother-in-law told me it's pretty messed up when I got to the bridge. So they're taking care of the hierarchy because they don't let an attorney defend you if the court don't want them to. And you'll be able to see by them sitting down when you're testifying. So it was ABA model rule is 3.3, and it says, candor toward the tribunal prohibits a lawyer from offering evidence they know is false. Now this is what the rule says. I'll tell you how it plays out in real time. If a lawyer or their client has offered a material evidence and the lawyer discovers it is false, the lawyer must take reasonable remedial measures, including, if necessary, disclosing the deception to the judge. So your lawyer has to disclose what you tell him to the judge if he thinks you're deceptive, or if the judge thinks you're deceptive. Now, the lawyer probably isn't going to voluntarily, but if he's getting pressured by the judge, you tell me, then he has to. So is he really your lawyer, or does he work for the state? Question your assumptions. These are the legal rules, how they play out. Model Rule 1.2, criminal fraudulent conduct strictly forbids a lawyer from counseling or assisting a client in conduct the lawyer knows is criminal or fraudulent. Because an attorney acts as an officer of the court, their duty to uphold the integrity of the judicial system supersedes their obligation of confidentiality to the client. Did you know that? So his obligation to the judge, that a lot of them are rogue as hell. A lot of them have been planted there to get you convicted. And their duty is to the rogue judge and not to you. And they won't tell you that, but I just read the rule. That's how it plays out. You can't do anything to them. They lose a case. Big whoop. Ain't their life on the line. They help you with all due diligence like they're supposed to. The judge doesn't like it because he wanted you convicted, and some of them do. They're handpicked. I've seen it happen. A judge specifically called in to get you hooked up. You say, no. Don't trust the system. Go ahead. I'm telling you the truth. They will get a judge that's in their pocket, take the sitting judge off the bench, put him there to get you convicted. And by their own damn rules, your lawyer that you pay money to is supposed to, his obligation to the judge supersedes his obligation to you. So you think you'll be convicted of a capital offense? Makes it look a little more likely how that works out against you and for them. And that's the way it goes. So got 93 people on. So like and subscribe and spread the message. I'm telling you, their own damn rules written in their favor against you. And you think, I'll never be on death row if I didn't do anything wrong. You will if they want you to. Their obligations to the court system. Their obligations to backing up the O-rings that are broken. You're not very important in their system. They'll do whatever the hell they want to do. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Using their own damn rules to tell you what it says. You thought your attorney was on your side. No, he's not. He's on their side. He cares about his job. He don't want to wash dishes at the local pub or possibly get put in jail like you for fraud, even though he's telling the truth. It's not what you think. It might be the exact opposite. And that's the way it works out. So if a client insists on committing a fraud on the court, such as presenting perjured testimony, the lawyer must first attempt to persuade them otherwise and then seek to withdraw from the case if the client refuses to cooperate. So that's how the rule's written out. If the attorney thinks that you're presenting false testimony, he's got to try to talk you in to tell him what he perceives is the truth. That's their. So when your attorney starts talking to you and you're trying to tell the truth and he says, no, I'm going to try to persuade you to tell him the truth. And you say, but I am telling the truth. And he says, no. He's trying to hang you out. Stick to the truth. Don't let him buffalo. You don't got to go along with the system. The lawyer must first attempt to persuade them otherwise and then seek to withdraw. So when he wants to withdraw, he's telling the court, my client's guilty. He won't say, I want to get off this case because my client's guilty. He'll just put in a motion to withdraw from the case. And the judge will or won't allow him to, but either way, he's letting the court know before the case even gets heard by the jury. Crooked as hell. And you can be telling the truth. You can be telling the truth. And he's still he's gonna try to convince you, the way it works in practice, he's gonna try to convince you to lie. If you're not guilty and the judge thinks you're guilty, then he's gonna try to convince you to lie. And if you don't lie, in their little pea brains, their corrupt, crooked minds, then he's going to try to withdraw from the case. So if you got an attorney withdrawing from the case, bye-bye, because he's going to hook you up anyway. You're better off by yourself. Levitus Darrell Rome Cobbins, born December 20th, 1982, faced the same 46 charges as Thomas. He was also charged with assaulting a corrections officer while incarcerated pending trial in 2003. Cobbins had been convicted of third-degree attempted robbery in New York. He and Davison are half-brothers. Shannon Kell Christensen, born April 29, 1985 in Nacogdoches, Texas, moved from Louisiana to Tennessee with her family in 1997. That was her first mistake. Tennessee's a crooked, dirty, nasty, criminal state. I'm not talking about the criminals on the street. I'm talking about the criminals in the courtroom. Now, they don't like me saying that. I'm telling you to think about it in another way, the truthful way. Quit buying their lies. Quit drinking the Kool-Aid. It's poison. Look at things realistically. At least question what I'm trying to tell you. The O-rings are broken. Don't wait till it blows up and you get killed. In 2003, Cobbins had been convicted of third-degree attempted robbery in New York. So she moved here to Tennessee. I wouldn't come to Tennessee right now. It's too dirty. Now, a lot of people tell me other states are just as bad or worse. I don't know. I haven't been in the system around other states. A lot of them may be. I don't know that they're worse. But I know Tennessee. My boots are on the ground right here, fighting this public corruption. And I know it is. So I'm not speaking about stuff I don't know about. And Gail Christian, born in 1985, moved from Louisiana to Tennessee with her family in 1997. She was a graduate of Farragut High School 2003 and a senior majoring in sociology at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. And that's what I graduated with, a Master of Arts in sociology at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. She planned on graduating in December 2007. Shannon was 21 years old when she was murdered. Hugh Christopher Chris Newsom Jr., born September 21st, 1983 in Knoxville, was a former basketball player from Halls High School, which I was a basketball player too in high school, not from Halls. A lot of similarities. And he played for the school Red Devils, graduated in 2002. After high school, he attended Mississippi State Technical Community College and became a carpenter. Newsom was 23 years old when he was murdered, and Mr. Levitus Daron Cobbins was on trial for that, and his attorney let him testify, knowing that the court would sanction him if he helped him with a cross-examination. And so that's how you know they're trying to hang you out. Now, that was justified in that case. But the thing is, he is not on death row. So that he has played a hand in murdering these children, and he's not being executed for it, which is horrific. The system that's supposed to dish out justice is not doing it. Only one person involved in that heinous rape and murder of 2 college students, a double murder, torturing double murder, rape, torture, rape, torture, a brutal murder, buried, suffocating alive in a garbage can. And he is never going to be executed. And you could be brought up on execution charges, capital punishment, and get it and not even be in the state. Now, that's how the system works. Virtually everyone in the United States executed is poor. Roughly 90% of capital defendants cannot afford their own lawyer, and U.S. Court of Appeals judge has estimated that over 99% of people on death row are indigent. So your chances of getting a death conviction, if you're not wealthy, is high as a damn kite, is super high. In the modern era, no genuinely wealthy person has been executed. Wealthy defendants who were sentenced to death were not put to death. And they are not. And the guilty people who did the dirty crime, like in that case, weaseled their way out of the death penalty. And that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today, about the weasels in the state of Tennessee. I'm going to talk about 7 people who never got to grow old, and the man who murdered them and then died comfortably in a hospital bed on your dime. That's the story about how guilty people beat the system, not innocent people, guilty people beat the system, weasel their way out of a justified death penalty. The other day I talked about guilty people, you and me, getting sentenced to death and some of them getting executed. Today, this is about the flip side, the guilty people who get out of it. And they're paraded around as the system working. Oh, it didn't work. It's an example of the system not working. A lot of the people they parade on television, they did 40 years in jail and they didn't commit the crime and they're out. Now they're getting a big fat paycheck. And so the system works. It took a long time, but justice prevails. Some of them, I think a lot of them, some of them, if one of them, that's too many, are really guilty. It's just the system parading them as showing that the system doesn't work. An example that's exactly the opposite, and that's what they're telling you. That's how twisted and sick these people are. And that's the way it plays out in reality. I've seen it go down, and we're going to talk about cases where people, and some of them didn't necessarily get out of the death penalty, but they had a death warrant that was never enacted. Justice was never served, while their victims died horrifically by a murder, and one can only imagine. And the reason we need to imagine is because you need to imagine yourself on death row in the execution chamber, and you didn't do it. And you're given the last words, and maybe that's your last words. I didn't do it. I love my family. I didn't do this. This is a travesty of justice. And nobody cares. And it's too late for you to do that then. But it's not too late now. The system, the O-rings are broken. It's going to blow up in the sky, and hopefully you're not the victim. Sarah Jackson, 16 years old. Stephen Hamilton, 25, a father of 3. Andrew Brown, 17. Ronald Santiago, 27. Robert Swell Jr., 23. Angela Holmes, 21. Michelle Mace, 16. 7 people shot in the back of the head or had their throats cut in fast food restaurants for a few $1,000s out of a cash register. And the man that did that heinous murder in Nashville, Tennessee, killed poor convenience store workers, brutally murdering them, never was executed, never suffered the consequences of his death warrant. The state didn't ever dish it out. He died peacefully in a Nashville hospital with nurses around, probably anesthesia, a comfortable death, living out his life. Now, is that justice? Weaseled his way out of a death sentence. The man who did it, Paul Dennis Reed, the fast food killer, over 67 days in 1997, he executed 7 Tennesseans in cold blood. Your state government lets him do this. He was caught, he was convicted. He got 7 death sentences. 7 death sentences. The most ever handed down to one man in the state's history. You would think 7 death sentences. He's going down. They're going to get the two veins stuck in him and get him out of the world. He's forfeited his right to live. And the numerous victims, family members of these people, get justice. But there was no doubt, fingerprints, shoe prints, a survivor named Jose Gonzalez was stabbed 17 times and left for dead. No doubt he did it. No doubt. How did it end? So how did Paul Dennis Reed die? Not in the execution chamber. He was pronounced dead on November 1st, 2013, just a little over a decade ago at Nashville General Hospital of pneumonia and heart failure. So he dies in a hospital, taken care of by nurses, pampered, and he executed 7 people brutally, and he was never executed. The state spent nearly $600,000 on his prison housing and medical care when he ran out the clock. 16 years of appeals. He outlived the justice system his victims were promised. So somebody kills you or your family members. The state of Tennessee right now in this justice system will allow them to die in a hospital bed, nurses around them, taken care of, their pain being limited as far as possible, die a natural death pampered after they have brutally murdered you. Now, is that a system that you agree with, that they allow to continue to this day? I'm telling you, that's what you got. That's a fact. That's a fact in real time. The pattern, and here's what makes me angry this morning. Reed is not the exception. He's the pattern. This is how guilty people in Tennessee beat the needle. They don't prove they're innocent. They just wait, they file, they delay, they let time do the work that no lawyer could. It's a pattern. It's not an exception to the rule. And if somebody brutally murders your family, you can't get to them. They got your tax money guarding, protecting them from you. And they weren't there when they murdered one of your loved ones. And they're not even going to administer justice. They're going to help them in their delays. It gets them damn freaking rich. Attorneys make buku bucks off death penalty cases. And they like them. Keep them going. A dead defendant don't get you another day, $1 in a courtroom. That's what they're worried about. It's sick, pathetic people. Think about it another way. Is the system really set up to administer justice and execute heinous, brutal murders like it says? Or how does it really play out in fruition? Mr. Reed, it didn't play out at all. It worked the opposite direction, and that's a pattern. Time is the weapon. Think about what time does. Witnesses die, witnesses forget, detectives retire, victims' parents pass away, and when the last family member fighting for justice is gone, who's left at the table demanding it? It has to be pushed. Evidence degrades, public outrage cools, new judges get appointed, new technicalities get invented. The longer you stall, the weaker the case for justice gets, and the killer knows it. These are people that don't trust the system. They don't care. They are anti-law and order, anti-life. They don't care about nothing or anyone except their own damn lives, staying alive, and their grotesque fun. And it is murdering people, grotesquely, probably demonically influenced. And our crooked state of Tennessee facilitates that and makes a hell of a lot of money off of it. And that is sick and pathetic, and they need to be called out for what they are. And I'm doing it today. Subscribe to the channel. Contribute if you can. It costs more money to put these videos out than I make. So help out if you can. If you can't, it helps out dramatically if you subscribe and if you share. And I assure you, you won't hear this message from anyone else, probably at all, and from no one else that has the education level and knowledge that I have and has the life experience that I have to be able to tell you the way it happens, boots on the ground. Now, you don't have to listen and believe it, but consider it. Question your beliefs. I'm telling you, the system works against exactly what it proclaims. They want you to trust them. Don't. This is what happens. And I'm not saying that every execution that should happen doesn't. One of them that doesn't is one too many, but it happens a lot more than that. And I'm not saying that every person that's executed is innocent. I'm not saying that at all. That's extreme. That's the conspiracy theory. That's the Alex Jones, that mass school shootings didn't happen. It's all set up to take people's gun rights. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not taking an extreme view because it's not true. I'm telling you the truth under the 10 Commandments. I'm not bearing false witness. I'm bearing truthful witness that's very impactful that you ought to listen to. That a lot of executions that should be administered are not. People get free and die a peaceful death in the hospital. And way too many, according to science, executions of innocent people didn't do it because of how the system works for themselves. Get executed, innocent people do. And that's unheard of. So maybe you're hearing it for the first time. And I'm a God-fearing person. I'm not lying to you. They are. And they'll tell you I'm lying to you. I'm not. I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you what could happen to you. Wrongly, Charles Wright shot and killed 2 men at a Nashville drug deal in 1984. Sentenced to death in 1985. He spent over 30 years on death row. He died of cancer in May 2019 at Riverbend, months before his October execution date. 3 decades, the system never carried out its sentence. They paid a lot of damn money to a lot of rich attorneys because death penalty cases, attorneys get a lot more money. And he never got executed. But the attorneys got rich. That's what they wanted. They could have easier give him life in prison because they never intended to execute him. in a lot of cases, I believe. They intend to get rich off trying people for capital murders because it pays well. Now, they won't tell you that. I just did. That's how they handle things. David McNash. Hello. David McNash. Not everybody hates me. I do get some big, pretty smiles and handsome smiles from men and women. Pretty smiles from women and handsome smiles from men. David McNash. David Lee McNash beat a 70-year-old woman, Gladys Smith, to death with a glass vase in 1983 over drug money he borrowed from her. Sentenced to death in 1984, he died in custody in 2016. 32 years waiting, natural causes. Another sentence that meant nothing, but it did mean something for the gluttonous attorneys. They got paid high dollar for defending a death penalty case that was never going to come to fruition. But they got their money. That's what they're worried about. They didn't intend to give a death penalty. If they had have, they would have done it years and years ago. But they don't stretch it out. They don't get rich. You know who's got money? Because who has money is the people that advertise. If you've got a lot of money, you'll advertise a lot. It gets you more business. So you look at the billboards here in Knoxville in the United States of America. Look at who's posting these billboards. Who has the money to pay for billboards all over the state? Now, I see a lot of healthcare billboards. Hospitals make a hell of a lot of money. And maybe they should, but it ought to be a little bit more affordable. And attorneys all over the state. Some of the most crooked ones have billboards all over the state. Pound the airwaves every day, all day long with attorneys. Now, there's some good attorneys, some very good attorneys. Use attorneys. But they got a lot of money and they advertise a lot. So you can tell how much money people have by how well they advertise. James Dillinger, and that works in politics too. James Dillinger, convicted of murder in 1992, sentenced to death in 1996. He died of cancer on death row in January 2023. 27 years. Died in every way that matters to those families. A man who beat the system. They're beating the system, weaseling the way out of it through the process of time, getting attorneys rich. Rich as hell off death penalties that they fight against that are never going to take place anyway. Die in custody. Larry McKay. He shot and killed 2 store clerks during an armed robbery in Memphis in 1981. He has been on Tennessee's death row since February 1983. That's over 40 years. State records list him as the longest serving man on our death row, and he's never been executed. Wow. Wow. Never been executed. They prolong it out. Get that billfold full. Get a lot of money for defending death sentences that are never going to take place in the first damn place normally. The numbers don't lie. The Associated Press reported it plainly. Since the year 2000, 9 Tennessee death row inmates died of natural causes and 1 killed himself, while only 6 were executed. More guilty killers died of old age and disease than the state ever put to death. We call it the death penalty. In practice, it's an expensive life sentence with extra steps getting attorneys rich. And that's what it's for. Laws made by attorneys for attorneys. While guilty people weasel out with the assistance of getting attorneys rich, and suffering families never get justice. That's what goes on. You never hear it that way, I'm telling you. It's not just Tennessee. According to Death Penalty Information Center, fewer than 1 in 6 death sentences ever end in execution. Nearly half are reversed by the courts. The men executed in 2019 had waited on average 22 years, and we promise justice we deliver delay. That's what you get in the United States of America. There's no reason why these death sentences can't take place within 5 years of the conviction. 5 years, they need to get it done. You give them time and they'll get out of it. Brian Black in 1988, he shot and killed his girlfriend, Angela Clay, and her 2 little girls, Latoya, age 9, and Lakeisha Lake Isha, age 6. A jealous rage. He was out on work release at the time, convicted, sentenced to death. And Brian Black's care. Brian Black, he killed 2 little girls and the mother. Sat on death row for 35 years. Killed 2 little children. While he waited, the state of Tennessee gave him an implanted heart defibrillator. Wow, I couldn't afford that if I needed one. Probably wouldn't get one. So he got the top medical care. Got a defibrillator, hip surgery, kidney dialysis, serious medical care, all on the taxpayer. He killed Angela Clay, 2 little girls, Latoya, 9, and Lakeisha, age 6. And he is murdered them, and he is getting on Tennessee's death row, making attorneys rich. Got implanted a heart defibrillator, hip surgery, kidney dialysis, serious medical care, all on your dollar for a worthless man that should have been killed 5 years after the conviction. 35 years he got the best medical care money could buy off your tax dollar, while you probably went without medical insurance. And maybe he would have died needing a heart defibrillator, had to hop around. And these people are making attorneys rich, and they love every year of an extended time to defend a capital murderer, not because they care, because they care about their billfold. And they get more money for extending capital murder cases than they do in a life sentence. That's really what's going to happen anyway. If the person don't, through time, weasel the way out of it. He was finally executed in August 2025. The little girls he killed never lived to turn 10. He lived a long time. He got nearly 4 decades and a brand new defibrillator in his chest, and he didn't have to limp around like a civilian would. So he got pampered, death row, and the attorneys got rich. They don't tell you this, do they? They don't tell you the real truth of what's really going on in your real government in real time. But look at the facts. I'm just telling you the facts from research, what's happening. Test what they think. Don't necessarily believe what they tell you. Challenge their message. 9 times out of 10, it's a dirty lie that benefits them and punishes you and keeps murderers pampered, dying in a hospital, well taken care of, painlessly, while you or your family member has to hear that they died in a hospital years later. And you couldn't go kill them, seek vigilantism, and you shouldn't, because they're protected by your tax dollars. And your tax dollars didn't protect you or your family member while they were committing the heinous murder, because they don't give a damn about you. They never did and never will. That's what I'm telling you. You can make up your own mind. I know what I know. And that's what I'm going to tell you. I'd be lying if I told you anything else. Get up and vote. There's more of us than them. Angels Clay family said 37 years. This is what her family said after he got pampered all his life. 2 children dead. Family of the dead children, relatives, and the Angela Clay. This is what they said. 37 years is too long, and it's not our fault. The 37 years, every appeal, every hearing, every delay drags that family back into the worst day of their lives. We call it re-victimization. The state victimizing you. Taking some part culpability in this heinous stuff by extending it for money, for mammon, and also not giving people justice that they deserve, not protecting them on the front end and not giving them justice on the back end. I call it cruelty to the very people we're supposed to be protecting. Little children deserve better than that. Get up and vote. Terrence Lewis case. It gets worse than waiting. Sometimes the guilt just walk out the door. Yeah, guilty people walk right out the door. Death warrant. I mean, they got a damn death warrant. You think if they got a warrant on you, the government, I'm talking about the mass populace of Tennesseans, even wrongfully, go talk to a judge, lie to him, get him to sign a warrant for your arrest for a misdemeanor that they didn't even see, and they can arrest you for that without even a warrant nowadays. They made it so easy to incarcerate the innocent. You think if they have a warrant on you that they won't hunt you down and find you? Oh, hell yeah, you're going. You're going. And they have a death warrant on these people. Been adjudicated by a jury, a death warrant. And the person is able to weasel their way out of a death warrant that they wouldn't have been able to get out of had they done it quick, fast, and in a hurry within 5 years. In New York, a man named Terrence Lewis was convicted by a jury for the 2015 drive-by murder of Johnny Washington. Makes me think of the drive-by shooting of the little girl here in Tennessee, in the projects. 22 years to life. Then in February 2024, a judge threw out his conviction and set him free, not because he was innocent, but because he got put in the wrong jail. He was in the wrong prison. There's no misconduct, no crooked cop. A clerk shipped him back to federal prison in Pennsylvania instead of holding him in New York. A paperwork violation. The judge wrote that a jury of 12 found this man guilty of murder, and he still had to set a convicted killer free. Dismissed with prejudice. That means they can't try him again. He murdered somebody, cold blood. Didn't even get the capital punishment and got set free on the street to do a drive-by shooting again. Watch out when you're out walking around. If he came from California to Tennessee and he still had to get a convicted killer free, dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can't never try him, retry him. A guilty man walking free because of a filing error. And that happens more than we are aware. That happens everywhere. This is not a one-off. In Colorado, a man sentenced to 300 years walked free because delays tripped a speedy trial deadline, and he doesn't even have to register as a sex offender. In Florida, an accused killer was released because the crime scene technician died and couldn't be cross-examined. Across the country, the clock and the technicality are doing what the defense lawyers can't, setting guilty people free, and they will extend it because unlike you and me and the mass populace of Tennesseans, we believe the system is fair and justly, and don't question or critique what our attorney's telling us or what the system's telling us. And we can extend our life and probability of not going to jail wrongfully by not believing what we're told. Question the system. Questioning your attorney and letting them get off the case if they want to, and not even trusting the damn judge. This isn't about innocence, and I want to be clear about that. I'm not talking about innocent people railroaded by bad prosecutors, which is me and you, the mass populace of Tennesseans. The one that had the power to stop this by voting. That's a different speech. I'm talking about the guilty people convicted on overwhelming evidence who beat justice by gaming the calendar, running out the clock, dying of old age in a hospital bed while the victims' families wait for a phone call that never comes. And that's what's happening now. And it may come to fruition in the next few days in the state of Tennessee because of the botched execution of Crothers. Attorneys are trying to fight to get executions stayed in the state of Tennessee when they should have got that execution done. If they got a death warrant, then they need to execute that death warrant. The cost, and you're paying for all of it. The Tennessee Comptroller found that a death penalty trial costs 48% more than a trial seeking life in prison. We spend millions chasing executions that more often than not never happen, while the killer gets decades of free health care, 3 hots in a cot, books, and not a free life, as in the free world, but they get institutionalized and it doesn't bother them. A justice system that cannot carry out its own sentences isn't tough on crime. It's a fraud on the victims. Either we have a death penalty that is swift, sure, and reserved for the worst of the worst, or we are honest with families and stop dangling a justice system we never intended to deliver. What we have right now is the worst of both worlds. The cost of death, the reality of the life sentence, and the cruelty of 40 years of false hope. And that's what we have in the state of Tennessee right now. And thank y'all for joining. And we're not done yet. So these victims, Sarah Jackson, 16. Michelle Mace was 16. Lakeisha Clay was 6 years old. They didn't get decades of appeals. They got a terrifying minutes and then nothing. This morning I'm asking you to remember their names and to demand a system that remembers them too. These weasels get out of the death penalty. Charles Van Morgan, you're watching the Charles Van Morgan Show. I'm fighting this stuff for the mass populace of Tennesseans. We're doing it in the federal courts. Got a federal civil rights case going on that affects all Tennesseans and people all across the United States of America fighting the ABA, American Bar Association, and their handpicked lawyers to be able to have an attorney that defends you and isn't just interested in extending death penalty cases to fill up their pockets in death sentences that never happen. And also have this YouTube channel that has coming up on 4 million people, and on average from 10,000 to over 60,000 a day. And we try to broadcast at 6:45 in the morning. And I want to talk briefly. I'm telling you about the system that it does exactly the opposite of what they tell you that they are doing, the propaganda. Challenge the system. Say, they're telling me this. Consider, maybe it's the opposite. I'm telling you that it is, in a lot of cases, exactly the opposite of what they're telling you. You won't hear that in any other channel, the extent and level with forethought that I'm telling you this. And I'm telling you this to protect you because you won't hear it anywhere else. And even if it happens one time, isn't that too many? When they know. So please listen. So we're going to talk about a case this morning. Heidner's mugshot, age 22, salary $38,000. As a bonus, you're seeing circulated all through the news, on the national news, this young police officer, his mugshot. And they are telling you that he used excessive force on a black woman in the projects. And it's all over the news. He is guilty yesterday, put out, and everybody's telling you that. And I'm telling you, not so fast. Not so fast. And many of you know what I'm talking about in North Carolina. This officer, Heidner, was a police officer. He's 22 years old, makes about $38,000 a year. He was accused and charged while during arrest as a police officer in uniform of beating a defendant while he's trying to arrest her, an African-American female, and he struck her about 10 times, which does sound alarming. And the newspaper and the television are showing a short clip of when he's trying to take her into custody and showing the 10 punches. They're not showing you what happened before that, which could be very telling in his favor. Why not? Because this is the way it rolls. This is what sells attention, makes news. And you have this police officer, 22 years old, that may have, and I'm going to say it, I don't care who done nothing wrong. Now, I criticize a lot of police officers, but I'm fair and reasonable. And the news media are extreme conspiracy theorists. What you hear on the news is conspiracy. Now, they say I'm conspiracy. No, I'm telling you they are. What they're calling me, I'm telling you they are. So they've already got him convicted. Doesn't that sound a little bit strange when you got somebody tried and convicted? Mass media against him, his police chief, and attorneys going to sue him all over the world. I mean, doesn't that sound a little fishy? I mean, hold the phone here. Just slow down a little bit. Does he have a right to due process? He's already been tried in the media. He's guilty. I'm telling you, Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News, he may not be guilty of a damn thing. He may be completely innocent. I'm going against the lamestream media. They're full of conspiracy because that's a conspiracy. At the least, let's give him some due process. How about that? How about, you ever heard of due process? That's where we try the facts and bring them all out. And I'm telling you this, as an example, they'll do this to you. They'll do it to you. They've done it to me. I know how they do it. He may not be guilty of a damn thing. I'll say that. You got every politician in the world standing up trying to get votes off. That's an evil, dirty police officer. And I'm saying not so fast. Maybe he's not. According to the law, maybe he's not. He's in uniform effecting an arrest. While 10 punches seem extreme legally, and they're trained and they know that not every punch counts in excessive force. You don't count every punch. You can have legally, I'm just telling you the law, legally you can punch somebody a few more times than was necessary and not be using excessive force. It has to be very extreme under the circumstances and not taking what it looks like on a video later, what a reasonable officer on the scene at that time would have done. So, not so fast. He may not be guilty of anything. They're telling you a conspiracy playing out in real time, already a mugshot. And look at the man that is coming down, getting his back pocket full. And I'm going to say this, and I know we're changing directions from the death penalty, where I explained to you how it's backwards of what they say. And this is backwards of what they say too. Now, if a police officer does something blatantly wrong and all the evidence is there, I'll call them out. I know some of them do that. For the majority, police don't do that. They don't. They're people that are out that have sworn to protect you and try their damnedest to do that and put their life at risk, and they should be respected. And when they get accused of a violent crime, they should be respected until we have the whole picture and the due process. And they are disrespecting him to the hilt. And that's so wrong. So wrong. I respect that man. I don't know that he did anything wrong yet. The 10 punches don't convince me. It may not have been unlawful under the law. And then you have this man here who never spent a day in a police uniform. And this man, if you'll look, his net worth is $38,000. That's how much he makes a year, out trying to make an arrest. Looks pretty alarming, 10 punches, but might not be unlawful. I'm telling you, they might not be under the law. And this man here, we're going to show you his picture, is getting rich off this whole damn deal. Getting super rich off this stuff. Who would this be? I'll tell you who this would be. An attorney. Ben Crump, age 56. His net worth is $50 million, attorney Ben Crump. Now, he's on the scene. You don't see him in a mugshot. Got all those microphones there, a tie. And so he shows up on the scene. He's going to collect a big paycheck. He's going to get him some money. He cares about justice. His form of it may be, I'm telling you, I have a JD2 just like him, but I'm not inside the system. I'm not exploiting people. I'm telling you the facts and the law. Remember facts and law. They're showing a short clip. They're not showing you what happened before that. They're showing you what they want to show you to convict him in the media, in public perception. And everybody says he is. I'm telling you, maybe he's not. Maybe he's not. Unheard of news. What I see on the video doesn't convince me of a damn thing. Doesn't convince me he did anything wrong. They're convincing you, right? They got a jail photo of him. They got Mr. Ben Crump in a shirt and tie that's going to get a big paycheck, big damn paycheck out of that whole situation. $50 million compared to 38. A man out risking his life. What about the benefit of a doubt for a law enforcement officer? That they deserve. They deserve the benefit of doubt. They've earned that. They earn that every day. Respect police officers. Which one do you respect more, an attorney or a police officer? And they say I'm controversial because I say people respect police more than they respect lawyers, because they do. That's not controversial. Lawyers lie sometimes, and police do too, but at least they're on their boots on the ground. So the machine that turns your outrage into cash. So follow the money, because somebody's getting rich off what happened in Shelby, North Carolina, and it's not Kerry Moore, the one that was struck 7 times. So the Shelby County protest footage, Ben Crump at the podium in a tailored suit and a mug shot of the police. That's what they're selling you. Ben Crump is worth an estimated $50 million. How? He shows up every time, same formula. Viral video, black victim, camera press conference, lawsuit, settlement. Crump gets his cut, typically 30 to 40%. Contingent fee, and moves to the next city. George Floyd, Crump. Breonna Taylor, Crump. Ahmaud Arbery, Crump. Trayvon Martin, Crump. You see the pattern. I'm not saying these cases weren't real. Some of them were legitimate. Some of them weren't. He got his payday before the case even went to trial sometimes. I'm saying Ben Crump has turned racial tragedy into a personal revenue stream that would make Wall Street blush. He doesn't need the facts to be airtight. He needs the video to go viral. That's the product. Outrage is the inventory. Settlements are the payday. And that's how Mr. Crump has become a very rich man, and he's already getting a payday. Estimated net worth $50 million. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin, Sherry Moore, and who else is on the list? So the rank and file get thrown to the wolves, and Mr. Crump gets a bunch of money. Carson Hyder, 22 years old, probably making $38,000 a year. No PR team, no national attorney, no press conference. A mugshot put out by the national news. And I don't know that he did a damn thing wrong. Ben Crump says he did. Fired Saturday morning, arrested Monday. mugshot on CNN by Tuesday. His union, if he has one, might get him a defense lawyer, maybe. While Ben Crump is standing at a podium in a tailored suit with camera lights hitting him just right, calling for justice. Does he deliver justice or make some money? Out for justice. Is he out for justice? Or is he out for dollars? A bunch of them. Bunch of them. Not just $1. 50 million of those dollars out there calling for justice. Dirty cop. Viral video. Works out well for him, don't it? I respect cops more than I do attorneys sometimes. His union, if he has one, might get him a defense attorney, maybe. Meanwhile, Crump is standing at the podium. You've seen the picture. The rank and file officer is the sacrificial lamb every single time this machine fires up. Chief stows him under the bus within 48 hours to get ahead of the story. God, your police chief, who's the real crooks, the people higher up in the echelon, not all the time, a lot of the time, they throw good officers under the bus to maintain their position of power. Hey, we're doing something about this. It looks bad, get rid of them, and stay in power. So we're doing something about evil, and instead of standing up for justice and what's right. And they're getting rid of officers that are out on the road risking their life while they're sitting behind a desk in an office protected by all kinds of security now. The rank and file officers are sacrificial lamb. Chief stowed them under the bus within 48 hours to get ahead of the story. We fired them instead of taking sometimes the hard, difficult position of what is right. 10 punches in a suspect that you're arresting that is violent and dangerous is not too many, because you don't count legally every punch. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4 extra punches. So if he was justified in 6 punches, or maybe even 5, because of the threat to him that we don't know, we didn't see the whole video, then legally you don't count the other 4 punches, even if they were too many. Excessive force doesn't count a few extra punches. Has to be severely over the limit. That was not, depending on the circumstances. The news ain't going to tell you that. They got him convicted and fired in a mugshot. I'm telling you, he may not be guilty. Let's give him some due process. That's what this country stands for. So the city's insurance carrier is already doing the math on the settlement. The officer's done. And there hasn't even been due process. It gets somebody out on the road protecting us. Do we not owe him a little bit of due process to hear his side of it? To watch the rest of the video, or to read the arrest warrant that he filled out and see what he's got to say? Career over, life over, 22 years old. So I'm just telling you. So what the warrant says that CNN won't tell you. Here's what the actual legal documents say. Not the headline, the warrant. Sherry Moore fled on foot, resisted arrest, grabbed Officer Hyde's uniform and ripped it. That's a physical assault on law enforcement. So he's allowed to use a substantial amount of force, which was the only part that was shown in effecting the arrest. Don't resist arrest. She did. And if he did 4 punches too many, was allowed to throw 6, that's not excessive force. I'm just telling you the law. They're not telling you that. I am. So the warrant filed by the law enforcement officers, same DA who charged him. The same Ben Crump's press release that calls this unprovoked doesn't mention that part. I wonder why, because Crump gets a lot of money. I have 18 years of commissioned law enforcement, #1 DUI trooper in Tennessee statewide, law degree. Hear me clearly. Active resistance and physical assault on an officer changes a legal analysis completely. Graham versus O'Connor, United States Supreme Court, 1989, objective reasonableness from the officer's perspective in the moment, not your living room, not a doorbell camera clip edited for maximum outrage. Perpetrated by the news media. Challenge what they're telling you. So, under the law, he may not have broke the law. Officer punches black woman 10 times during arrest. That's what's on CNN. So, that doesn't mean he did anything wrong. It doesn't. Legally, officers are allowed to use force. They're not allowed to use excessive force that's clearly excessive. You don't count punches. A few extra punches doesn't make it excessive. And she fled on foot, resisted arrest, grabbed and ripped officer's uniform. So the doorbell camera only shows what they want. Where's the rest of the doorbell camera? Isn't that telling? Picks up where he's punching her. Where's the beginning of the video? Where's the part of the frame starts rolling? Was she charging him, spitting, threatening, reaching? Nobody's asking that question on the national news. And I'm asking it. How about some due process for an officer trying to protect people's lives? 30 seconds of footage is not a trial. It's a trailer designed to make you feel something before you think. He's already convicted and he might be completely innocent. He's got a defense, a damn good one. And it works every time because the machine knows outrage moves faster than facts. I've seen it, I've experienced it. By the time the full story comes out, the settlement is already signed and Crump is on a plane to the next city. Wonderful magic that he works, that helps his billfold. And that is what I think about that. Interesting how they're trying to hang out a new officer. What happened before the camera started going? We don't know. Why is that not in there? A trailer's not the whole movie. 10 punches is a lot. If she was neutralized and he kept swinging after resistance stop, that's where legal exposure lives, but she was not handcuffed at any point in time that he was throwing the punches. There was resistance. Her grabbing his arms, whether she was trying to stop him from punching her or actively resisting is a matter for the jury. That's where legal exposure lives. If she wasn't actively resisting before and during, it appeared to me that she was resisting. That's a question for the jury. The second officer stepped in and stopped it. And that's the system doing what it's supposed to. I'm not carrying water for bad cops. I've investigated bad cops in this news channel, Knox County TXP. Name them right here on this channel. I don't protect the badge when the badge deserves accountability. I'm just saying it is very suspicious when you have the national news media, a mugshot, a police department, everybody going against this, and only part of the evidence coming out. I won't let a 30-second clip and Ben Crump's press conference substitute for due process. Not on this channel, not this morning, not going along with their program. The inflammatory media gets rich too, and let's not let CNN off the hook and these corrupt news channels spread falsehoods. Hello from UK, Roy Williams. And they spread the falsehood too. They ran this story because it bleeds, because it inflames, because angry people click and share and watch the ad revenue roll in. CNN doesn't care about Cherry Moore, that black lady. They care about the 48 hours news cycle she represents. After the settlement drops, then she drops out of the news and they don't care. She goes back to nobody and they move on to the next clip. That's the industrial outrage complex. Crump supplies the legal angle, CNN supplies the amplification. Social media supplies the mob, the rank and file officers, supplies the career, and everyone gets paid except the people actually involved. CNN media ad revenue, Ben Crump 30 to 40% contingency, city settlement, taxpayer money, Sherry Moore, what's left is what she gets. Now, I'm just telling you, an alternate way of thinking about things based on reality. Look at what is really going down. While you're mad, maybe you have nothing to be mad about, and they're getting rich. Carson Hyder, career gone, life over. Unless you got a real attorney like me, everybody eats except the two people actually there. And I'm not a licensed attorney, and this is one reason why I'm not going along with the program. And if you were wrongfully put in that position, I wouldn't go along with the program either. Stop the cover-up. It goes both directions. Cover up police brutality, wrong, I've said it, I mean it. And cover up what happened before the camera rolled, also wrong. Manufactured outrage to get rich while a 22-year-old life burns. That's the cover-up that nobody talks about, and I'm talking about it this morning. Way too soon, legally, to hang that young officer out. I don't see proof positive evidence of any damn thing wrong. Officers have to be able to defend themselves. You want officers out here that can't arrest a violent thug that beat on you or murdered you? That's what you're going to get if this keeps happening. They got a right, and they need to be able to fight back to protect themselves in order to be able to protect you. The moment good officers believe defending themselves ends their career, people die. That's not what Ben Crump's going to tell you. He's standing on the civil rights thing. You have civil rights. He's got civil rights too. Where are they right here, right now? Well, I'm proclaiming them. That officer's got rights. Let's hold on just a minute. 10 punches may not be too many, may not be legally excessive force. Officer hesitates. Officers go home in bags. I've worn the badge. I know what hesitation costs. Officers who fear prosecution hesitate. Officers who hesitate die. The blood's on the media's hands too. And they've already got him convicted without the full story. It's very obvious. You see it. The arrest warrant's not out there. What it tells is very alarming. And also, the rest of the video's not out there. Where is that? Why is it rigged like it is? And if you think this can't happen here, it already does in Tennessee. The same machine, different names, same formula. Outrage manufactured, I've seen it happen in real time. Money extracted, truth buried. They did that same damn thing to me. I did nothing wrong. That's why I'm suing them in federal court, justifiably, because of the crooked government that allows this stuff to go on. That's why I'm on this channel with millions of people. Like, share, and subscribe. Spread this message. Not what the lame stream will tell you. The truth. The honest truth. They lie to you. They lie. And also on the governor's ballot to give me statewide name recognition. I'm on this thing. I know exactly what I'm doing. Win or lose the governor's race, I win. I get a message out statewide on the ballot. Attention to tell you, question what they tell you, challenge it. Are they telling you the truth? A lot of times, hell no. Hell no. And you can see it playing out in real time right here, hanging a police officer out before any due process. Somebody's already going to get a check in the mail, an attorney, and they're usually the ones that get rich. And you and everybody else pays full price because they anger you and don't allow you to think. I'm telling you to think. I don't know that that officer did anything wrong legally, according to the Graham factors. Maybe not. They won't tell you that. He's already hooked up and they already got a paycheck on the way to the attorney, and what's left over the lady gets. So we'll read a few comments. Thank you all for subscribing. We'll read a few comments and see what y'all have got to say. Roll Tide. I can't say that. They don't like my hat. Let's see. Hi, Massachusetts. Hello. There's too many of them. Snuggle time. Roll Tide. Hi from UK. Hello, UK. Troy Williams. Hello, Bobby762. Hi, Esau, and you still kill us. Okay. Talk about Trump stealing from America's tax money. Don't know what you're talking about. Do you have the full story? If not, you and I both know 10 punches to a female is excessive. He has due process if he had a court case. I don't know that illegally 10 punches might not be excessive. That's not true. It would be 10 punches if she were handcuffed. And there are circumstances, been on the circumstances where people that are handcuffed can still be fighting and violent and dangerous to you, where you could still be using a significant amount of force against somebody that's handcuffed. So it depends. I don't know that. That's not legal. That's not, the law says that. It's about the officer on the scene, a reasonable officer at the time, not hindsight, not a video camera later. What was actually experienced by the officer at the time, a reasonable officer. And it says that you don't count every punch. You can have a few punches too many, and that doesn't qualify legally as excessive force. So even though, as a law enforcement officer, you punch somebody a few times too many, it's not legally a crime. So before you think about getting in a fight with a police officer, remember they got a lot of leeway, and that's the law. And I agree with that. For the reasons I told you, Happy Nuclear Family Month. Okay, right, I agree with that. That's right. Amen. Democrats run Colorado and they hate America and what it destroyed. Yeah. So vigilantes are looked down at. Well, I don't think they should do that, but I can understand that. Who is the sweet fella? I don't know. If you're talking about me, thank you. Israel never shut up. I don't know what that means. Thank you for standing with the truth. Thank you very much. And happy Pride Month. Okay. In America, you can have any month you want to. It's freedom of speech. I'm honking. Good morning. Good morning, Tom Pippin. I seen you coming down through there. Thank you. Yeah, I seen you. And God bless you. So, Euro and Travel, great show. And Mr. Pimpin's got a show. A very nice, smart, intelligent, great man. And thank you so much for the privilege of being on that show. So, I appreciate it. What's up? Wounded Angel 71. T for T-Mobile. No, it's for the University of Tennessee. And appointed lawyers are worse. Yeah, some of them are. That's exactly right. Shilton, thank you for bringing light to us. God is with you. No weapon formed against us. You will not prosper. Much love and light. Thank you very much. T stands for Tennessee. That's right. You got it right. What the T stand for? Tennessee. That's so much for client privilege. That's right. Elder Wells said hi. Hello. Go Vols. That's right. Don Doe. Thank you. Which state has the best criminal defense lawyers? Well, Tennessee has some good ones. They really do. Was unhidden by... Thank you, Freddie 10Z, for helping me with the moderation on the channel. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. God bless you, I pray. DAKM9XR, and have fun. Message retracted. Hello. voting will not pull us out of these problems. The entire culture has to change. Well, and we need to get in power before voting. And so voting makes a difference. Voting's on the front end, because until we get in power, we're not going to be able to make a difference. We can change the culture by being in power. Hello, call down, God is watching. I don't know where are you going? Randy, truth brother, thank you. Texas Aviation 128. Not mentioning anything but what I said. No, Jesus Christ is good. No one is good but Jesus Christ. That's right. Exactly. Trust shit. Use your brain, people. Exactly. Harry, are you ancestors criminals? I don't know what that means. So let's see if any new comments. Can you speak English? Okay. Yes. I've been speaking it for a long time. And if you're talking to me, oh, I'm hurt so bad, I'm just getting off the channel because you hurt my feelings. Yeah, right. Fighting a police officer is something only an idiot fool would do. Exactly. You're going to lose that fight, because you're not just fighting one police officer. You're fighting the whole department and other agencies, and they're going to get everybody coming. And you know, that's not the way to handle it. Fight them in a courtroom. Everything is out of control, no communication. And thank you all so much for joining. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Maybe back on here tomorrow or Friday morning or next week with another interesting topic. And we'll try to start reading more of your comments to get people involved in the show. And as we learned from Euro and Travel, we're trying to listen to other experienced podcasters that are great people. And so here at Euro and Travel, we're borrowing from you, reading comments more than what we did. Pensacola have good attorneys, okay. And we learn from other people. He's a very young man. I think he's about 22 years old. And we can learn from young people too. They know a lot about modern technology, and it's got a great message. And I appreciate a lot of his points of view. So watch his show and help him in his getting the truth out too. There's a few of us left. He's very talented and very good at what he does. So we thank him, ask him to keep going. And Mr. Pippin too, he's got some friends that are a little older too, so they got it going on. We got a lot of work to keep up with them. So God bless them. We have a few other tactics in a little different lane, but we're learning from the best. And he may be another new, better, differently talented, and Charlie Kirk, he's got a huge success in front of him, I believe. Thank y'all so very much. And as I always try to say, may God bless you. I pray. Our greatest weapon is prayer. It's better than voting. Pray and also vote. And God loves you. And God's in control. And I do too. Until next time.